Anyway, we're moving on. Let's go back to this hobo for a minute who disappears and seems to have a physical body because he helps out the hero boy, but then disappears anytime explanations need to be given. I don't know, man. Hello and welcome to Blockbuster Review. If you don't know what that is where I play a single game of Tetris Marathon and review a film before the blocks reach the top or until 150 lines. Spoilers are at line 50. I don't know if that'll matter with this particular movie. The Polar Express is a computer animated film produced by Robert Zemeckis and starring Tom Hanks in like 18 different roles. The story is about a boy who is struggling with his belief in Santa Claus. So naturally, in the middle of the night, a train that does not necessarily adhere to any train tracks arrives to his house on Christmas Eve, where a strange man is like, "Hey, you coming on?" And at first the boy says no, which is the appropriate thing to do when a stranger asks you if you want to get on any mode of transportation without your parents' knowledge or approval. And then he rushes and gets on the train. The train is filled with a bunch of other kids. It turns out they're going to the North Pole on this journey, and they got one more kid to pick up. The kid they pick up is like from literally described as the wrong side of the tracks, and then he immediately takes a spot in what looks like the back of the train, which would make you think that it's the lower class section of the train, but the seats are separated more and it looks more comfy, so I would think he went to first class. This kid knows how to get on a train. Anyway, what happens then is this young boy goes on adventures around the train. First, he has this whole adventure with the ticket. He tries to protect the ticket of somebody else, and then the ticket just has a mind of its own, starts whipping around the train, then the outside of the train, then it gets stuck back in the train. Then the conductor, who is also taking the tickets, is he seems like a hard ass, and he's not. He follows the conductor, who is now taking the child who can't find their ticket, and seems to be punishing them by dragging them across the top of the train in the middle of a snowstorm, which would mean that like instantly freezing, and then the children would die from exposure very quickly. The kid meets a ghost who's like a hobo, and we never figure out what that's fucking about the entire film. We're at line 50. I might as well just spoil it. This movie fucking sucks. It makes no sense. It looks horrifying. I know that it's based on a children's book, and I think that's the only explanation. The creators of this film were like, hey, I mean, the book is successful. Why do we have to add anything? Let's just make the sequences that are that would clearly be action sequences. Let's just make them longer, and then the movie will be good. The problem with that is, I don't know what the fuck is going on. The characters don't have names, which works for a children's book, because you can say, the little boy, blah, 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 and kids are like, whatever, because they're going to fall asleep in 15 minutes. When you have a movie, you have to expand a little bit. You have to give people a journey that they want to go on. Here, it's just, here's a boy. What's the boy's name? Not important. Then, here's some other children. Here's a girl. What's her story? Doesn't really have one. Here's a poor kid. What's his story? He's like, well, he thinks that Christmas doesn't really ever work out for him. Okay, cool. Yep, anyway, we're moving on. Let's go back to this hobo for a minute who disappears and seems to have a physical body because he helps out the hero boy, but then disappears anytime explanations need to be given. I don't know, man. And I think this movie is about belief and keeping on to your belief in Santa Claus. However, what doesn't make any sense is that this child, this hero boy, up until the moment he is in the North Pole, surrounded by thousands of elves, have witnessed the technology that would allow a Santa Claus to get presents to every house on Christmas. And then he still doesn't believe. How do we know? Well, obviously, if you don't believe, you won't hear the magic sleigh bells. Okay, they I watched this movie because of a YouTube video of gaming channel playing the Polar Express video game. And I realized, you know what? I have never seen the Polar Express movie. I've heard it's bad, but, you know, I've never seen it. And I enjoy watching bad movies because it helps me understand what I like about good movies. So, I saw it was on HBO Max, and I was like, well, let's just give it a whirl. I thought the whole concept of if you believe, you will hear the bell. Turns out to be a sleigh bell. I thought there was a little more to that because, I don't know, I thought this movie would have something. Turns out, oh, no. This kid straight up sees all the work that would go into a Santa Claus. He sees the insane production it would take with all these elves. He sees this technology that would allow all these presents to be moved and all of this good and badness among children to be categorized and understood. He sees all that, and then he doesn't believe up until Santa plops his ass into the sleigh with him and talks to him for like 2 seconds. And it's like, hey, bro, like, if seeing is believing, you fucking saw it. Okay? You fucking saw it. What else do you fucking need, kid? Like, first off, you want to know that magic is real? This conductor drifted a train on ice. That's it. That's enough. I believe. Hey, I believe in magic. Just drifted a whole GD train on some ice. I believe. We don't need a conversation with Santa Claus. I don't need anything else. It's bad. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't even enjoy it from the, like, perspective of, like, what makes a bad movie, because it's, like, it's so clear. It feels like this movie, it's like, oh, well, it's based on a children's movie. It's like, yeah, but when you have a children's movie that you want to adapt, you have to expand. You have to create a story worth watching from the tiny pages of this children's movie. You have to put in some effort. And they were just like, well, we'll just make those action scenes longer. You got to do something. You got to do something with those scenes. You know how it's true? When I was looking up stuff for this movie, I saw that there's like a real-life train experience. The train experience is only an hour, less than a movie length. And that's an experience in person. That's all the proof you need that there isn't enough to make an entire movie length out of that story. Anyway, The Polar Express, it's on HBO Max. Watch it with your friends to get terrified at the horrible CGI, or enjoy the acting talent of Tom Hanks, who seems to have 8 different voices in it for some reason. I don't know. Happy holidays.